Hello everyone, thanks for joining in today's video. Today I'm super excited to have Richard Chen, founder and at Iterative Venture. So hello Richard, how are you feeling today?
Good. Thanks for having me, Ivan.
Yeah, that's super great. So, well, let's waste no time. I think all our viewers, everybody wants to know about your crypto journey. So how did you start with that and what sparked your interest in investing in crypto first?
Absolutely. So I got started with the crypto journey starting in 2012 when I first read the Bitcoin white paper. Got into the game around 2016, started buying tokens, started really experimenting, exploring what this new concept of, back in the days, right? The innovation back in the days, smart contracts, etc. What that was, etc. And it was really during the bull market, the last bull market, that really got me diving in a lot deeper into the crypto space in terms of technology. So we started out in 2021, started with the Facebook community. So that's where I came from. And we started doing angel investing. And so during that time, I was trying to figure out what is the thesis to start an investment fund. So that led me down this journey to look into crypto deeper, trying to understand the business model used in crypto, as well as the associated technology. Because my background as a technologist, I always wanted to find that, what's that problem, right, that crypto solves and what benefit does that bring to the landscape. So that's in a nutshell, my journey.
So what do you remember about that time? So were things simpler back then, or, how was crypto back then? Yeah.
You mean in 2021, right?
Well, maybe 2016 or even 2013, as you said, or 11, maybe even earlier. Can you compare
Sure,
those
yeah.
times?
So yeah, during that time, I want to say 2016, 2017, that's when I started really diving in and started logging onto Coinbase to start buying things, etc. During that time, I had a curiosity because it was introduced to me by another friend of mine, actually a mentor of mine, who was coaching me on starting up with the software engineering journey. And so during that time, I was looking for anything to build, really. So that's kind of how I got into crypto. So looking into smart contract and trying to understand the architecture and whatnot. And I also saw the boom with ICOs, et cetera, during that time. And one of the questions I asked back then, as I do now, is, where's the value coming from, right? So, with the massive raises, with some of these coin listings and so on and so forth, I was really trying to figure out. But during that time, because of the circumstance change with the bear market during that time, every 4 years, right? I kind of took a breather from that in 2018, and then again in 2021, I kind of got into the game yet again. Because of the last hype, etc. So I was trying to really understand from 2017 onwards, what was the differentiator, what was the problem that people are solving, right? So from the smart contract with the DeFi, etc. What else is there, right? Then I started exploring into the architecture, finding out things such as, for example, the scalability issues, the privacy development, and some of the development with the rollups and whatnot, and piqued my interest last time to come in here. And I was really trying to figure out, what are some of the ways that, you can combine crypto with others. So could it be GameFi, SocialFi? Could it be, recently with the new trend, could it be AI, etc. So I'm still on this journey really to figuring that out.
Yeah, that's really interesting. But how do you stay updated on the latest developments in the crypto industry? Because it's certainly an ever-changing cycle, like ever-changing.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I want to say that I made some good friends, including yourself, Ivan, along the way to really discuss about these topics, right? So I have friends in, for example, on the regulatory side, who cautions me about certain things, such as when I want to, let's say, make an investment into DeFi projects, etc. I would run it by some of my friends and see what they see, right? On top of that, I also pay attention to various publications. I would say that there are some really good ones, such as Delphi Digital, such as Mazzari. They write about really good trends. I also read a lot from Paradigm as well as A16Z to see what they see, as well as the problems they dive down into, and also just to understand, from their point of view, what's the uniqueness that they bring, right? So it helps me to build this more, I would say, comprehensive view of crypto, right? Not just from, let's say, the regulatory side or the price action side, but also from the technical side, how are other engineers looking at these kind of things, right? So try to merge all of those perspectives. So that's kind of in a nutshell where I get these information. On top of that, I also speak to a lot of founders. So typically I would back pre-seed to seed founders. And so with that, a lot of that comes down to understanding and building that conviction together with the founders, right? Understanding what they see, why are they tackling a certain market, and angel invest, as well as raising SPVs, as well as deploying fund with them to both understand and as well as to hopefully reap that upside reward as well. So.
Okay, so to sum it up, connections, and a special platform, so to say. That's the main solution.
Yeah, I would say that. The reason is because the moment that you see what's on the news, it's been there for, I would say, 3 to 6 months already. So that information is a bit late, right? So it's good to get a sense of the general broader direction, where things are going. But in terms of getting that very fine-tuned information and whatnot, still a lot of times it's very unscalable. You have to talk to folks like we're doing right now.
Like personally, or do you meet people personally, or just do you like through phone calls or like Zoom calls, etc.?
I do all of that. So first step for me is to get their pitch deck. So I will read through it, try to understand their idea, try to understand what market they're tackling. If I see an interesting area or an area that I don't know of, I typically follow up with a phone call to build further conviction. Now, there's something that's really interesting, and I see that there could be a great potential for exploration, etc. That's when I buy the founder coffees, have a chat, and figure out how to support with that. So that comes down to writing personal checks, writing checks from the fund, or it is to also write articles, about what they're doing. The reason is because a lot of within investors, we kind of all follow each other, trying to figure out where each other are investing, what's piquing their interest and whatnot. So part of the job in finding an investor is also to help you evangelize what you're doing, right? So that's part of the job that I do.
So what are the other factors that you consider when evaluating the potential crypto investment?
Sure, absolutely. So there's a lot that comes down to from, I guess, the traditional VC perspective, in the sense of evaluating against, for example, the market. Where is the market going? And then, try to see if we can anticipate what's the next level of challenge, for example, right? So one of the reasons why, for example, Eigenlayer was able to raise a pretty good big round is because of the previous Shanghai upgrade in April, where a lot of ETH are going to be able to be withdrew, right, from staking. And so because of that, how do you leverage that to bring extra capital efficiency? So that was a clear use case, right, as to, the solution that they're bringing. So basically, it really comes down to evaluating, that market opportunity. And I want to be able to get there before the market even comes up, right? So really anticipating that problem. So it comes down to a lot of reading and studying about what's going on in this space, right? So that's number one. And then once we identify the market and we see a clear solution, et cetera, then it comes down to the question of founder fitness. I would try to sit down with the founder, trying to understand who this person is as a person, right? Not just about, the solution that you're bringing, but who are you as a person? What do you believe in? What's your value? How do you want to build this company? And how do you see the market, right? Et cetera. There's obviously no clear answers or right answers here, but really it comes down to a gut sense that I believe that this person will carry the ball to the end. If I get that sufficient conviction, then I go further with deeper due diligence, couple reference calls, and try to collect some feedback, and then write that personal check. So it takes a little bit of time, but that's the way that I build conviction to back someone and a project.
Okay, perfect. I like it. So my next question is, how do you support and facilitate the trading and liquidity of newly listed tokens?
How do I support newly listed tokens? Typically speaking, we actually invest in the seed and pre-seed round. So I think that that's something that we're going to have to worry about down the road, right? So for example, with all the tokens that we get, what do we do with it? Should we build up an asset management business? Should we build up a hedge fund business? That is something to be announced. It is something that we're thinking about, but we're frankly a little bit early for that.
Okay. Anyways, my next question is rather maybe personal, but maybe not. Anyways,
Sure.
how do you handle the emotional side of crypto investment, like psychological aspect of that?
Yeah, absolutely. That is a really great question. It is something that I think about a lot in terms of the emotional obviously roller coasters that you see in
Yes.
crypto. But I would say that it really comes down to some of the values that I personally grew up with. I think that
Mhm.
it comes down to always believing the direction that you believe in. For example, hardworking is always a must. Being transparent, being honest is something that will help you go the long term. On top of that, always try to do, I guess, like deeper research, understand the problem first yourself, etc. Really remove that dependency from, let's say if I back this founder and I'm just going to blindly follow the person, etc. You want to do more homework on your end, also to just get a better understanding of where things are going. And on top of that, I also want to say that I'm grateful for the community that I do have, all the Facebookers, etc., whom I still keep. I talk to a lot of folks from the community every day to get a better sense. And so basically, having views both inside and outside of crypto also helps to just get a better sense of where things are going and how the world is changing, etc. So kind of comes back to the what we talked about again, connection, network, having good folks around you to keep you afloat.
Yeah, exactly. I've heard people comparing crypto investment to poker game, like, how they unfold cards and so on. So is it right time to, show your emotions or not? So does it work to you?
Well, I would say that in anything, right? It's unless you're really close to a person, you have that level of trust. It's always good to withhold your emotion. I would say that in anything, right? Whether that's at work or you're being a founder, etc. The reason is because when other people look at you and they need to have a sense of trust in you. And if you show your weakness, then it causes a loss of faith in other people.
Mm-hmm.
So along this journey, I would say that a huge part of it is to learn myself emotionally and to be introspective and withhold myself, right? And that's where also the second part that comes in, where your own value, right? So for me personally, in these 2 years, there were ups and downs, etc. But I had to really think deeper about what direction I'm going on and not compromise on that. That's basically what helps me to be strong and keep going. Another thing you have to realize is basically that execution and progress is everything. That's true in any business or in any work, etc. I think it's just life in general. So, one of the things that I keep reminding myself is that you got to make progress. That's it. You got to make progress. It doesn't matter what you fucked up on or anything. It doesn't matter. Just keep going. Right? Keep going, keep learning, keep iterating, and just keep going. That's one thing that I really believe in, and more so as I started on this journey.
Yeah, that's a nice advice that I'd say. But speaking about ups and downs, can you share an example of successful crypto investment, or maybe a hint?
I want to say that in terms of crypto investment that's successful. Well, that's a really great point. I think that at this point right now, it might still be too early to call it a success. I would define success as an exit, somebody able to carry that to the end and still sustain the ecosystem or whatnot. So for that, I'll get back to you on that. I would say that there were, some success in other investments that I've made. So when I started out in 2021, I didn't just make a crypto investment. I actually also made AI investments and all of that. Now,
well, maybe 2 years time is
these...
too short. You'd rather say like 2 years time is too short to draw conclusions. Maybe you should wait like 5. I heard that people wait like 5 or 7 years to call it a success because before that is just too early.
Yes, except crypto has a shorter life cycle. So we may be able to call success earlier. Just that there's a huge storm that we're going through right now, so it's a bit unclear. So I'd like to bring to you an amazing story, right? That we can call it definitively that it's a success. So
okay, well, maybe I'll ask other things. So have you experienced any setbacks as a result of a crypto investment? Maybe you stumbled upon like a scam or fraudulent project, or how did you recover from that?
Well, I will tell you that the setbacks in terms of fundraising, in terms of my fund, actually. So I can tell you that the market shifted really rapidly. So last year, we started fundraising around February and March. And during that time, it was a much easier conversation. When you told people that you're investing into Web3, everybody wanted to talk to you, right? But what happened was that Terra blew up, basically. And so a lot of the investors were shying away basically from talking to us, et cetera. And so the commitment that we received basically went away. So it was a hard time for us to pivot and adjust, et cetera. So that was a huge setback. But I also want to lay out the positive there, where because of the setback and because we weren't willing to give up, right? So it got us thinking much deeper in terms of the direction that we go on. And pretty much I'm still on this journey, right? To figure out, define much deeper in terms of the market opportunities and whatnot. But basically that sets the motion. That got us, basically open to the things that previously it was not necessarily a requirement. For example, reading much deeper into the stack, drawing on our experience as engineers to look at things differently, and so on and so forth. So overall, there's been positive, but I would say that this is probably representative of the entire crypto industry as well, where people are having much more discipline when they look at deals. So if you remember in 2020 to 2022, basically, if you say that you are starting a Web3 company, chances are you have 1 or 2 phone calls and you pretty much get a verbal commitment. Obviously, things are not the same. And so, overall, I would say that this is going to make the space better.
Mm-hmm. Well, speaking about time, how do you address concerns about the short crypto project lifespan or like immaturity of the whole crypto industry? Some people say it's just a bubble to burst.
Well, I would say that there was a bubble in the sense that there was a bubble everywhere, right? Because of the macroeconomic conditions. So you had a very unique condition in the last couple of years. You have COVID, for example, that triggered Fed to drop rate to 0, kept it for longer. There was the Paycheck Protection Program that the federal government issued. So all of those conditions created a very ripe environment for asset prices to rise. Now, that environment has become different, right? So in terms of looking at the bubble and whatnot, I think that, comes back to the point where I just try to stay focused on what I believe in. So in terms of, the technical aspect, now I look at crypto as a financial technology, right? So it brings a new dimension and whatnot. That has not changed in me. I still have that thesis, right? Where I think that you previously didn't have the ownership layer with crypto, and now you do. And you can also, define new dimensions where you can become more immersive, basically, in the virtual reality. And that's going to play into other aspects as well. You're going to have, for example, AR, VR, right? Let's say if we're going to interact in AR, VR more so, onboarding through work or whatever, in the future, we're going to be using the crypto rails as a way for us to have ownership and whatnot. There's also the emergence of, for example, AI and generative AI, right? Where, how do you dispute the copyrights? And let's say if AI matures to a point where there's starting to be an identity and whatnot, how do you denote that on-chain and so on and so forth, right? All of those are problems that crypto can solve. So I take a very long-term view, with this. And so regarding bubble and whatnot, it's unfortunate that it popped and, things came out this way. But at the same time, I think that it also lends itself to a very good long-term kind of investment horizon and view. I believe that this technology is going to be used for at the cross section of many of these other converging forces, like AR, VR, AI, etc. So,
but what's your response to criticism that crypto, is actually speculative asset and has no intrinsic value, and it's like race for the money is greater than technology that crypto brings?
Yeah, I think that last few years created a condition for that. But now, if there's no intrinsic value, I think there is intrinsic value. I think that the business model for crypto is very interesting, right? Using token as a way to coordinate people to do something over the network. I find that very valuable. Now, for example, I'll just lay out one of the areas of development that I'm currently really bullish on. So there's this concept of decentralized physical infrastructure network. One of the problems within AI is that it is expensive to train models, right? So for example, OpenAI spent $700K a day just to train, I think ChatGPT 3 or 4, I forgot. But basically they spend that much money, right? That's prohibitive. And so one of the things that I see in the market right now is to have a decentralized cloud, right? You have some of the companies that's basically using token as a way to have people join the network with their commodity hardware. So in that way, you could create a distributed cluster to train models and whatnot. And because of that, and because of the cheap hardware, right? So for example, in AWS, you're using some of the hardware that's created by NVIDIA that costs $20,000 per piece per GPU in order to train your model. Now, with any computers and laptops and even phones, right, out there, how much does this cost? And especially with commodity hardware, right, a couple $100. And you're able to pull together all of these resources in order to accomplish this task as well. Now, it might be a bit slower and whatnot, but at the same time, not all the models need to be trained on the highest end of GPUs and whatnot. So with that, there's that aspect. That's just one clear problem, right? So another one, for example, Helium is creating a network, communication network. I believe they recently partnered with T-Mobile as well. Basically to offer base stations in people's homes and properties for people to earn tokens and as a way to bring down costs, and as well as for hardware players to come into the market and sell to potential folks. So I find that as an extremely interesting model. Obviously, I think that the US use case will come up once other technology develop, and as well as when macroeconomic condition improves.
But what is your opinion on the potential impact of government regulations on the value and viability of crypto?
I think that in the future, US government is not going to, for the long term, they don't want to hinder technological improvement, right? So as the global kind of forces go, there's a clear competition that China and US are locking into. Now, China has been more lately more pro on crypto, and you can see that basically in Hong Kong, right? That they're starting to push for more regulation with stable coins and whatnot. And I think that US, even there's a lot of politics here, right? Where Gary Gensler, because of his potential ties with FTX and whatnot, he's in a very hot seat, right?
Yeah.
But I think that, there might be other forces coming out. For example, in 2024, we're going to have elections. Now, would that influence the way that SEC handles things? It's very likely. There's also Coinbase, who's at the forefront pushing for regulatory clarities, right? And that's basically a compelling force for SEC and for the American justice system to force a regulatory clarity in this whole place. I also think that a lot of projects in the world, right, outside, when you talk about liquidity, I mean, where do you have the most liquidity, right? It's in the US. But, from the government perspective, they come from a perspective where they have to balance between capitalism, technological improvement, and public safety. So that's where we're trying to figure out. I believe that it's just a matter of time before they come up with this.
In your opinion, what are the other risks and maybe challenges for crypto in the future?
Challenges for crypto in the future. I think that a couple challenges here include, like you said, regulatory, but also figuring out new use cases. So those were some of the few things. I think that because of crypto's barrier to entry, understanding the technicalities of the stacks and everything, that's one thing that prevents deeper use cases. But I think that, as 2020 to 2022, a lot more people are becoming aware of crypto, and that basically starts the process for people like myself, for example, and yourself, to dive deeper into crypto and figuring out what opportunities are there. Now, that's where I also want to say that it's really a matter of time. I think that crypto will definitely make a comeback. It has a lot of use cases to help us to become more immersive digitally. It also brings a new dimensions of interaction on the internet, for example, ownership and all of that. So
not to mention metaverse, expansion,
exactly.
whole thing.
Yeah, exactly. With digital assets and being interoperable between different metaverses, different games, social networks, etc. I really believe that it's a matter of time, and it's going to blend into other disciplines such as AI and AR/VR.
Okay, that was actually nice. Okay, my last question was that really a pleasure talking to you. It's so interesting to hear your opinion and thoughts. Well, maybe it's kind of off the main chart of questions, but what advice do you have for someone getting started with crypto, maybe crypto investment in particular?
Sure. I would say that if you believe in it, if you find a reason to, keep believing in it, even though, the market might be, swaying you and people may be losing confidence and whatnot. I also want to say that crypto as a rail can be very useful for other technologies. And so you can see that, for example, with Paradigm, with a lot of the other fund managers, including myself, we're trying to figure out for blockchain and associated technologies, how could you use that for other technologies, right? So I would say get curious. We've been through bear markets in the past. We have always come back around. It's in the interest of the entire economy and the world, really, to for us to keep moving forward with technological development, with economic development. So I think that even though it could be more difficult in this time, don't lose hope. Things will definitely come back around. It always has been. So.
Well, actually, one question that comes to my mind right now. Will crypto investment and maybe like crypto usage, whole education stuff come up in the future? Like, will it be mass adopted?
That is a really great question about crypto education. I think that in America in general, we need to do better on financial education as a whole, right? If you're talking about public educational system, I think that we have a long way to go. But now in terms of the education within, let's say, the tech community and whatnot, definitely, many more people are becoming aware of crypto and what this is. Many people are becoming aware of what a distributed ledger technology is, etc. And many people are becoming aware, just from the last cycle, right? What NFT and DeFi and everything else is. So it's a matter of time. More and more people, including myself, are publishing more materials, and that's a way basically for to get the ball rolling. Right? You just have to have more people getting curious in this space, and then sharing knowledge. So,
well, I think that's a perfect conclusion for today's interview. Really nice that we talk about so many things in just like 30 minutes or so. That was really a pleasure talking to you. So, anyways, guys, I was super excited to talk to Richard Chen, again, founder at Iterative Venture. So thanks for joining in, and see you soon.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, goodbye.